tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal, it's hit him on the pad, he's out! Lions gone, New South Wales are 9 down! Onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car! Oh, I think it's hit a car! What a way to bring up your 50!
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Well, everybody, welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast, and we are on the brink of a full-blown Ashes crisis. Australia does not have a top order, and we have one test after this before the Ashes, and England are coming to us hot as bloody hell at the moment. We'll go through what Australia have done, but this is why I'm nervous. People say, oh, Australia's bowling is a lot better than England's bowling, and England always crumble when they come here. Well, we saw in England in 2023, this England team has a bit more fire about them. You know, they are molded in the character of Stokes. I don't think they're just going to roll over like other English teams that have come here in the past. That's not to say that I thought they were going to come here and beat us, but Australia are in all sorts of trouble. So overnight, England were in all sorts. They were 5 for 84 in reply to 587 by India. And then what does Harry Brook do? Just peels off 158. What does Jamie Smith do? Peels off 184 not out at a strike rate of 88. Those two put on over 300. They put on 303, and they're back in the contest. So England have a hot top order at the moment. Whatever they've done, it's all come together at the right time. Crawley, Duckett, Pope are their top three. Then you've got Root, Brook, and Stokes, followed by Smith at 7. It is a very strong batting order, and one of the strongest batting orders and one of the most informed batting orders England have ever brought to Australia. I think back to 2010-11 when they towed us up then, the batting order was in the same sort of form. So Australia, though, in contrast, are in all sorts. We do not have a top three, and the situation of the test is Australia made 286. They bowled out the West Indies for 253 and are 2 for 12 at stumps. That's right, 2 for 12 at stumps. Constas and Khawaja already back in the pavilion. We lead the West Indies by just 45 runs with 8 wickets in hand. So this test match is still very much in the balance. And I'll talk about a few things that happened today. But I will say Australia in a shambles, and I'm just going to have to be blunt about this. The selectors have got too much wrong. So let's start with Usman Khawaja. I repeatedly said throughout the Indian summer that he was cooked and they needed to drop him. I thought the SCG test would have been the perfect place for Khawaja to step down. I went to the Adelaide test and saw Khawaja in the nets up close, and he was hopping around against the fast bowlers, and the complete antithesis of the fluid foot-feet movement he'd had prior to getting to 39 years old. So no fault of his. He's just getting old. But he's cooked. He's done. And we have to drop him. And we have to drop him before the Ashes. I said probably in the last podcast, or maybe we have to stick with him. But I don't think we can. He's cooked. He's missing straight balls. England are just going to come round the wicket to him and absolutely find him out. And you know, I just have to say McDonald and Bailey and co were wrong. They said Khawaja got Bumrah. Last I saw, Bumrah doesn't bowl for the West Indies, and he doesn't bowl for South Africa. So it's not just Bumrah. Khawaja is old. He's too slow against fast bowling. He was asked about this by Barrett Sundaresan. He said his record speaks for itself. He said he scored a lot of runs. He also said he went back to Shield cricket and made 100. He went back to Shield cricket and made Look, there's a big gap between Test and Shield cricket. And also, Khawaja's cashed in Sri Lanka. He made that big 200. But apart from that, he's averaging about 25 in Test cricket if you take out that 200 in the last year or two. So the selectors have been wrong about Khawaja. They have stuck with him for too long, and one Test out from the Ashes, they may have to pull the pin on him. But will they do it? Probably not. And then England come here, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare of a summer watching Khawaja against their bowlers. So, number one, they've stuffed it up with Khawaja. Again, we have one Test before the Ashes. Number two, Sam Constas. So the golden child, he just doesn't look ready for Test level. He looks cooked. And the problem is, we should have known this earlier. We should have had more answers, but they stuffed around in Sri Lanka, putting head up to open, despite everybody saying, like so many people said, they have to play Constas. They have to play Constas in Sri Lanka. And the smart asses, they went with what they've done in the subcontinent in the past. And fair play, they got the wins, but I don't know if the wins are going to matter if Ben Stokes goes home with the Ashes. I don't know if those wins in Sri Lanka are going to matter because we don't have a top order for the summer. And, we had the perfect opportunity in Sri Lanka, the World Test Championship, and now in the West Indies for Sam Constas. And if he'd played in Sri Lanka and at Lords, we'd know a lot more about Sam than we do now. So maybe for this series, we've already got a Harris or a Bancroft or a Weatherald or a Patterson or a McSweeney over here ready to play a couple of tests. But instead, we're trying to make Constas into something maybe he isn't ready for yet. So, they are floundering, and then we don't have a number three. Cameron Green's not a number three. He's shown it clearly. He might be a top order player, although I still don't know how that works if you want him to be your fourth quick bowler. So he's probably not your number three if he's going to be your fourth quick. So he's not a number three. So that means we don't have a number three either. We're sort of praying that Marnus goes back to the level below and starts scoring tons, and they can pick him again. And as I said, we are one Test after this away from the Ashes. And I don't want to sit through a summer of England smashing us on our own decks. I'm sorry. I just don't want to do it. And McDonald and Bailey have opened the door for England. They will be licking their lips. And the top order, the engine room, that sets the tone for matches. It sets the tone for series. You think of Hayden, Warner, all these great top order players that they score hundreds early in the series and they put Australia ahead. Well, who's going to do that for Australia? Steve Smith? Well, we can't rely on him to bail us out of trouble. We can't rely on Alex Carey. We can't rely always on Bo Webster to bail us out of trouble. So this is a full-blown disaster. It's a crisis. And I can't see us getting out of this. So I think Australia are really faced with the prospect of having to pick two new openers for the Ashes. Khawaja's done. Constas not ready. So then you're going to go back in time and you're thinking, wow, Harrison Bancroft, here you go. You haven't played Test cricket for a while, but we're just going to drop you in the Ashes. Perform. It's not looking good for Australia. And you look on the opposite side. Ben Duckett, absolutely destroying attacks at every level. Ollie Pope made some really good scores for England. Joe Root, again, class act. Zach Crawley, I missed him out on purpose because he's hit or miss. I mean, England are coming here and they're going to give us a run for our money. And we cannot rely on Stark, Hazelwood and Cummins to bail us out of trouble in this Ashes. If we do that, it could be too late. Apart from the fact, you have to remember, as good as these bowlers are, this English team has been facing this bowling attack for 10 years. So there is a case of some of these England players might have worked out a tactic for playing our bowlers for the summer. So I'm just in panic mode right now because I just can't see a way out of this predicament for Australia. I mean, we need to find some heroes. We need a couple of guys to step up. They're playing in the Australia A, playing county cricket, wherever, bash the door down and put a case together because there's opportunities to be a hero, son. Our top order needs a couple of heroes right now. They'd like Mike Hussey to come from nowhere and just go, I'm ready, I'm going to perform, let's do it. So it's an absolute disaster. Just a disaster waiting to happen. And, I've got a really bad feeling about this Ashes upcoming. Really bad feeling. I can see it I can actually see it being another like 2-all. I can see Australia just sort of hanging on and retaining the Ashes. And I can also see us getting towed up, that we just end up, and I said it last summer, at some point this team's going to fall off a cliff. And will it happen during the Ashes, after the Ashes? Well, the top order's gone. So, the selectors and Andrew McDonald, they need to make a tough call. I mean, just go up to Usman and say, the next test is your last one, buddy. You're not playing in the Ashes. Just tell him now. Put him out of his misery. It's gone on too long. It's a real shame. But yeah, Australia in real trouble. So let's look at the test in the West Indies. So on the first day, Australia bowled out for 286. In reply, the West Indies were bowled out for 253. A couple of notable events. Craig Brathwaite was out for a duck in his 100th test, caught and bowled by Josh Hazlewood. Casey Cardy was out for 6, a terrific caught and bowl by Pat Cummins. He bowled a good length ball cutting back into the right-hander, got the inside edge onto pad. There was no bat pad in there, and Cummins dived one-handed and caught the ball in his right hand, basically where a bat pad fielder would have been. And interestingly, Josh Hazlewood said after play that as Cummins was running in for that ball, he was thinking, where's the bat pad for Cummins? Because there's been a lot of balls going there. Well, Cummins ended up having to do the fielding. John Campbell was out to Webster. Shocking shot. I mean, this guy just does not have a cricket brain. He was playing well, 40 off 52, and just whoosh across the line. And there was a pretty steady stream of wickets. But Brandon King made an impressive 75. And in the tail, Alzari Joseph made 27. Shamar Joseph 29. Anderson Phillip 10. So it's at one stage the West Indies were 6 for 169, then 7 for 174, and looking like they would concede a big lead to Australia of over around 100. Then the two Josephs put on 51-run partnership, and the tail wagged, and they got up to 253. And actually the number, the 10th wicket partnership batted for about 10 overs to frustrate the Aussies. So they ended up being just 33 runs behind Australia when it looked like it would be more. For Australia, Stark 1 wicket, Hazlewood 2 for 43, Cummins 2 for 46, Webster 1 for 17, Nathan Lyon 3 for 75. Good to see him back in the wickets, but he did take a bit of tap. Brandon King went after him a couple of times. Justin Greaves was out to Lyon. Joseph was out to Lyon trying to slog. So Lyon picked up 2 wickets, and Travis Head ended up getting the last wicket. He caught and bowled Anderson Phillip, and a bit of a controversial dismissal. Some people are questioning whether the ball carried to Head, but the replays seemed to indicate his fingers were underneath it, and it was given out. So because the tail had hung around, that meant Australia had just a nervous little period of about 6 overs to bat in fading light, and Constas was out in the first over for a duck. He played on to Seals. Terrible shot. The ball was wide of the stumps. He didn't move his feet, and he just threw the bat at it, and it found the inside edge and onto the stumps. Really bad dismissal. And then Usman Khawaja, Seals going around the wicket, just trapped him dead in front, middle. It was hitting middle stump. And Khawaja still referred it, completely burned a review. That had Australia 2 for 4. And then Green and Lyon batted out the rest of the day. There was some talk around the fact that Lyon was hit just before stumps, and he used being hit to call for medical attention, which means the West Indies didn't get an extra over in. And good bit of gamesmanship there from Nathan Lyon, but it was certainly noted by the opposition skipper, Roston Chase, who said he would have done the same thing. So Green is not out sick. So still a chance here for Green to do something. Huge day for him. Can he make a score at number 3? And I don't think Green's performance at number 3 matters anymore, because he's just not a number 3. I think I'd love to see him score some runs, obviously, but I think Green's position in the team will be lower down the order. From all indications, you just can't have a number 3 that goes out there and is a bit of a plotter for 30 balls. You need someone ready to go. But huge day. So you got Green and Lyon not out, Smith, Head, Webster, Carey, etc. to come. So the lead for Australia at the moment is 45. Roston Chase, the West Indies skipper, said they'd be pretty happy chasing anything under 200. And Hazelwood, pretty diplomatic when he was asked. He said, "Oh, you can never have too many," but it seemed to intimate that 200 would be defendable as well. Sort of concurred with Chase, but again, he said he'd love to have more. So huge day for Australia and a huge day for the West Indies. Huge morning. Can they get early wickets? And if they do that, restrict the lead to under 200, and then boy, are we in for a thrilling conclusion to this Test match. I guess that's about it from today's play. I mean, when I sort of think of some of the moments of the day, I think of Cummins' catch. If you haven't seen that, make sure you watch the highlights because that's an absolute beauty. He also, Cummins bowled an absolute jaffa to Shy Hope, ball that sort of cut in from wide of the crease and just knocked him over. So some good bowling from Captain Pat. Probably he and Hazelwood probably the bowlers of the day, but even Stark bowled really well. Webster bowled well, only conceding 1.7 runs per over. As I said, Nathan Lyon took a bit of tap, but he did get the wickets. They didn't allow him to settle, and he went for almost 4 and over. So that's, I guess, an indication if they're chasing a small target in the fourth innings, I think the West Indies will target Nathan Lyon. Anyway, that's my wrap of day 2. As I said, I'm in full panic mode about the Ashes now. I mean, this is like the worst case scenario for Australia, the absolute worst case scenario. England are getting better while we're getting worse. Every day we're getting worse because Khawaja ain't going to get better. You're not going to get better. Do you think at 39 he's all of a sudden going to hit a form patch? So, yeah, I mean, I'm in full panic mode. I'm probably not going to sleep well for the next few days. And thanks everybody for listening.